Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Creative Educator Collective. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Kanesha from boldlivingtoday.com.
And I'm Kari Knuston, not from Bold Living Today, but from KnustonSpeaks.com. I wish I was from Bold Living.
Oh, you guys, I'm sorry. We've been having too much fun in our pre-talk and getting ready for this video. So I'm a little giddy. And I hope you catch this giddy fever because it's a good thing when you're working with someone you love. It's fun to have fun at work.
Yes, heck yeah. We're doing this as the second part of our video series of 4. And so
Yes.
we're here today to rock your world with part 2. So tell them what we're going to do, Niche.
So this is part 2 of wrapping up 2018 in preparation for an amazing 2019. In the first video, we talked about how to do a fun assessment of the top 4 categories that really impacted your life, helped you get bolder and more creative and make the proper shifts in 2018. And we're going to continue that conversation today and add a little journaling into it with some fun prompts to really get you thinking about what you accomplished in 2018, how it felt, different things that stretched you, helped you evolve, helped you grow, helped you get more creative, and then how you can take that momentum into 2019. So, Kari, I'm so proud of you using all your creativity tools. Gosh, I'm so tongue-tied today. Using all your creativity tools and really stretching yourself. And so, as we talk to the people who are listening in today, and we talk about mapping out our calendars each year, and notice I really don't use the words resolutions because I feel like that's so confining. But when you're doing goal mapping or quarterly planning, typically what is your process for that, in your work life, home life, in the combination of both? What do you do?
So for my quarterly planning, I really try to think about integration and not being so separate with like everything, because I need to understand like my family time commitments sometimes take more than my work time. And some seasons when I'm doing professional speaking, we call it speaker season in our house. Like sometimes I'm like, I'll see you in 2 weeks or whatever, because I got 7 gigs or something. And so I feel like when I do my quarterly planning, trying to look at the ebb and flow of our family life, my work life, and then put that together instead of trying to make it so separate, and realize sometimes things take more time than others. But I also think about the things I'm absolutely committed to that don't change on our schedule, like really trying to I know it's a little bit simple, but how much water I drink is always a priority for me, especially living in Colorado where it's just not getting dehydrated, and making time for exercise so that I could feel like I can actually use my brain in a good way. So thinking about that is how I quarterly plan. And I have my calendar, which I use like this, but I also love my journal like this, because there's some quarterly planning where you have thoughts and ideas that don't go in the calendar.
Yeah.
I use those 2 tools between my calendar and my journal to think about that. And the last thing I'll say is I try not to put too much in, because I'm a too much list maker, and I totally am. I admit it. But I try to do a brain dump, and then I'm like, if this is actually not going to fit in the quarter, put it in. I call it parking lot. Put it in the next quarter. And I really try to limit my list, because I try to do too much pretty much all the time. That's my MO. So those are my tips.
I love it. And so just like you, when I look at quarterly planning, and I hope everybody knows, the 4 quarters in the calendar year, breaking different things up. And it's pretty much a business tool, but I think as educators, we spend a lot of time with lesson planning, based on the quarter system or the semester or trimester system. So it's very similar. I mean, we think about chunks of time and what's going on and how we plan things out. And with my quarterly planning, I like to get a big piece of poster paper, and it's typically like posted so I can stick it on the wall, and I divide it up into the 4 quarters. And I like to look at themes of times of year, what's going on in the first quarter, and I kind of map that out. And then I map out different ideas I have about presentations I want to do, or workshops I want to develop, books I want to write, curriculum I want to create based on some of those themes. I think about the things that people typically struggle with at that time of year, and I map those things out. And then, of course, because I'm working a lot of times with nonprofits, educational organizations, my work schedule runs with the actual academic schedule. So, I typically have a lull in the summertime when people are on summer break because they don't want to get their lives right. They don't want professional and personal development at that time. So I typically have openings in my schedules as far as one-on-one clients. So that's a really good time for me to start developing curriculum. So that's a nice I call it incubation time. I get really busy in January. People are at the top of the year. They want to get more organized. They want support and structure. I also get really busy at springtime because it's like another rebirth season. And so those are like the big times when things come. And then what I'm noticing lately with some of my presentations, there's typical programs that keep rolling over. Like we have a big Silicon Valley Reads program that happens in the early part of the year and goes into the spring. And so that's a new organization I'm working with. So I have to anticipate that. So I'm really looking at the academic calendar of how my kids' lives run, and then running my business kind of parallel with that. And then figuring out if this is such a busy time, then where do I have to kind of up my self-care, up my wellness, looking at my husband's travel schedule. So I have a lot of, when I'm planning in the different quadrants, I have a lot of layered things because I know how the tracks of my life run, which is, sounds such like master scheduling, you know, such educator talk, right? Yeah, so that's really how I do it. And I love to use sticky notes to move different things around. If something is kind of temporary or I'm not sure if it's firm, I will write the sticky note in pencil, and that's in yellow. And then everything else that is permanent, that is a go, is written in ink and it's on a different color. But yellow is my pending color, kind of like the yellow light, like, oh, transition. So that's really how I do my quarterly planning. And with that, it was really exciting to do the part one of the categorization and go see where we were having our season of bold and everything. And just, you know, to really look at, I've done so much this year, you've done so much this year, and we are still standing. Like, I don't feel like I'm completely wiped out in December, which I have felt in the past, especially when I was in a traditional education organization, like just dragging to the finish line, you know?
Oh yeah. And I think it's hard as educators too, when the seasons of your school life come up. Like December is a busy time getting grades in and finishing up and doing holiday parties or whatever you have to plan. It's a busy time with concerts and thinking about your curriculum. And I think in an educational setting, it pushes you even more because you're tired and you know the break is coming and it's relentless. And nothing's going to stop that but you in terms of your ability to prioritize and organize. And one of the reasons we're doing our 4-part series specifically for educators is to say, don't just cross the finish line barely in December. Like, here's some tools and ideas to help get you there in a good way, and then start 2019 feeling strong instead of just like, oh my God, I barely made it. That's what our hope for educators is, because you cannot show up for people if you're so tired. And so that's one of the things with Kanesha's tools that we're talking about is how can we help get all the stuff out of your head out onto paper to give you a sense of peace and order and organization that will allow you to show up better.
Yes. So we have some fun prompts for you. So if you have a notebook or a journal, you might want to write these things down. People who are subscribed to the Creative Educator Collective newsletter will get a copy of these prompts. So, you know, make sure you sign up. The sign up link is in the comment section of this video, or in the video notes, I mean. And so, okay, what I'm going to do first is show you the type of journal I use, and then I'll talk about the prompts, and then I'll have Kari also show her journal. So I really like this brand of journal. It's Markings by C.R. Gibson, and I love them. I follow them on Instagram. I've had some reposts. They've reposted some of my work to their thing, and I love it because it's a 3-in-1 journal. Actually, I have one. Let me show you a new one on the shelf. Of course, I have a new one on the shelf.
Of course you do.
Just because, you know, mine has papers falling out and washi tape everywhere, but it's a 3-in-1 journal. And the first section, there are ruled pages, which I love. For me, that signals business. And then the second section is grids, which is a little bit more playful planning for me. And then the third section is blank, where I just go a little bit wild and crazy with my planning. So this has been a really good tool for me to use for journaling and everything. And, you know, Kari always sees me pull this out, and I just have so much stuff. I mean, I can't even, I'm afraid, what's in here? Oh, I have my conversation starters from Thanksgiving still in here. Let me take those out so they don't fall out. But I don't know. I'll show those to you too if you want to later. But yeah, I do a lot of my business visioning and different ideas I want to try out, and when I go to lectures and stuff like that, and I just put the information in there. So journaling is huge, and I'm always encouraging people to have that process. Kari, what about your journaling?
So my journaling is a little different because I use my more traditional calendar, and what I like to do is I put in my I like to use visual like dots and stuff to tell me like, oh, you have a gig coming up, you have something, so I can see the month at a time. And so I use some color in there to say what the heck are you doing when, so that I can plan. And then I like to have different styles of notebooks. Like I have my little, this is a peacock. Someone gave me this. I love it because that's my symbol. When I just keep this in my purse when I'm like, oh, I want to have a quote that I like or something. So I keep quotes or cute little things in one spot that I can refer back to. This is my quote journal. And then I have a bigger journal like this where I need like, and I'll show you some papers in the back where it's just plain and you can like free write, because sometimes you just need to get some ideas out. And so I think using a combo deal for me is better. I don't want all that stuff in my calendar, because on my calendar I just want to see what I'm doing, but I need a space for creativity. And also I love quotes and inspiration, and sometimes if I have that little book of quotes and inspiration, I use it for some of my talks, and I know exactly where to go. It's not all mixed up together for me. So those are the three things I like to use.
I agree. So, you know, the 3-in-1 journal journal for me. And then I also, of course, have my own planner, which has donuts and sparkles. It says, whatever sprinkles your donut.
Yeah, you and your donut situation. You have your washi tape with donuts too, don't you?
I do. I have washi tape with donuts. You know, I'm consistent in my creative themes, people. Trust and believe. Dream. So, yeah, and this is not to say that Kari and I don't use electronic calendars, but I do need to have a streamlined process to see what I'm working on in a planner and in a journal. It's like the combo plan, as you said, and then sticky notes galore, washi tape galore, colored pencils, markers, and highlighters galore, just to move things around and have the flexibility of seeing what you're doing. Okay. So,
I was just going to say, when you're thinking about your own plan, I think having educators think about what works for you that's not part of your planning book. You know, when you like do your school plans, like sometimes we put our life in school. Like I think whatever works for you, thinking of a system. Oh, how would I use this? What works for me? What's beautiful and pretty? Or what, if like I had an organization thing where the squares were too small to write in, so I just never used it. So are you not using some things because it's just not working for you? So sometimes you have to try a few different things. I tried out so many calendars before I found my one true love of my calendar from Office Depot of all places. But I think like really recognizing, hey, this is working for me, this isn't, and finding, like Kanesha and I have different systems, but it's the same point. How do we get our thoughts down? How do we keep ourselves organized? And what looks pretty to us? Like what's creative and beautiful? Because that makes, like, to me, this is so much prettier than a wire-bound notebook, and then I like going to it. So thinking about what's right for you, I think, is really important.
And it's okay to know that you can hack any writing tool you have. You can customize and make it your own. Sometimes students that I work with have journals that come from the school, or planners that come from the school. And then as the kids have told me, these are too institutional. I'm like, well, let's get some washi tape on that. Let's get some drawings in that. And you can still adhere to the system, but make it more customizable. So we always have choices.
Yes.
Okay. So here's some, like I said, we have 12 awesome prompts, and we'll go through those and then do some little confessional things ourselves. But these are different reflections you can use in your journal individually for yourself. You can use them with your team. Let's say that you have a department team, grade level team, or a team you're growing for your business. You can use them with your family. But what you need to do is focus on what's working and how to reduce the things that are not working. Okay, because we're always trying to make these major tweaks, and Kari and I are always emphasizing just having a little shift, turning the dial, making a little tweak, and focus on the things that are working so you can reduce what's not working. And, you know, if you're experiencing any small or large transitions, this is also a good way to slow down and really think about what you want to do next, instead of trying to do it all at the same time and, you know, making yourself more crazy, especially at this time of year. And we believe in proactive thinking and keeping optimism front and center. I might be the creative, but Kari is the forever optimist. So it's really a good combo for, yeah, it really works for us. Okay. So here are the prompts. I'm going to read the first 6, and then Kari will read the other ones, and then we'll share a little bit about ourselves. Sound good?
Do you mind reading all of them though? Because my screen is split in a weird way.
Oh.
So,
This is real time, people. I'm on it.
I'll be off the screen because my printer wasn't working right, so I was like on the screen. So
Oh, it's okay, sweetie. I got it. Okay, so number one, and if you want to write these down, it's great. And as I mentioned, if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, you can get them just sent right to you directly to your inbox. All right. Number one, when I think about 2018, these 6 words come to mind. Number two, my mantra or slogan for 2018 is or was, depending on how you feel in transitioning. Number three, when I was my best self in 2018, I was, and then list some things you were doing or what was going on for you. Number four, when I was, list the activity. When I was having the most fun. Number five, I followed my intuition and was rewarded with. Number six, when I let other people dictate my actions, I learned. So powerful. Number seven, I felt like I won the lottery when, and this is all in 2018. Number eight, this year I accomplished the following goal or goals, not resolutions. Number nine, I want to carry this unfinished or pending goal into the new year because, and it can be more than one. Number 10, if I make this one change, you list it, if I make this one change, I will be able to make myself A, healthier, B, mindful, C, joyful, or do you have the option of filling in your own thing? Number 11, when this unexpected obstacle showed up, I was able to A, learn, B, grow, C, rebuild, or D, your own option, because. So basically how you handled it and what came of that. And then the final prompt is the following 10 items, only 10 people, the following 10 items are on my not to do list for the new year. I think that might be my favorite one.
I know, it's so creative of you. And the whole goal with this, everyone, is that you take some time to reflect still while it's 2018, while it's December, and instead of getting into the rush of like, do more, be more, the holiday season stress, like take a little step back to reflect. And these questions are meant, you don't even have to answer all of them at the same time. Sometimes it's good to percolate on one or two, but it's really meant to get you thinking about what worked, what didn't, what would you want to move forward with, what would you want to let go of. And again, Kanesha's so good at this, I think, instead of like trying to change radically things, like how would you pivot? And that's why all of our thing is around the SH/I.F.T framework, because how can you shift or pivot in a way that's more realistic for almost all of us? It's very hard to make some big, huge life change and stick with it. But these questions are meant to evoke the shifts you can make subtly that eventually would lead to a huge change in your life.
Oh, I love it. Like I'm excited about doing it all over again. So yay, journal time, here I come. So Kari, I want to ask you about 4 of these prompts, like confession time, so to speak. So the first one was, when I think about 2018, these 6 words come to mind. What would be those 6 words for you?
For me, part of the year was, so I would say just off the top of my head, exhaustion, elation, hope, excitement, reflection. Is that 6? I was kind of going through certain events in my mind that triggered those things. And what I'll do now in my journal is like take those words and then kind of expand upon why that is. And I wanted to include the word exhaustion in there because not everything to me is like, oh, it's all perfect and great. And I think it's important to reflect on the reality that at some points in 2018, I was physically or emotionally or mentally exhausted, and to reflect on what caused those things to happen. And also some of the exhaustion had to do with elation because I got to do so many good things that made me exhausted at the same time. So I really think when I'll answer those questions more in my journal that I want to expand upon that to really help me reflect on how can I, again, pivot so that exhaustion doesn't really take over in that way. Can I do things a little bit differently so that I can handle it better?
So that'll be on your not to do list.
Yes, not to do list.
What was your slogan for 2018?
Remember to play. I said that all the time. I was like, remember to play, because sometimes I get so. I think I'm a pretty fun-loving person, but in my head, sometimes like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And I just sometimes I remember to play, like just stop and play with your kids. Or for me, sometimes I just love to dance in my kitchen or my living room. Like if a song comes on, and sometimes I'm like, it's just moves you, and I'm like, just instead of being busy, I can spend 3 minutes dancing in my kitchen. So sometimes if I ever fought the urge to just be spontaneous, I just said to myself, remember to play, remember to play. So that was my slogan.
Awesome. And then the seventh question was, I felt like I won the lottery when?
Oh my gosh. I felt like I won the lottery when I got to do my show this year. And I had everything came together with the interpreter that I wanted to interpret, the photographer that I wanted was there, the light people were there. And I felt just like that moment of when I put the whole show together and I was in a venue that I wanted, which was a beautiful venue in Denver, a sold out crowd, and the energy in the room was good. And I just felt so lucky that I got the opportunity to do the show. Not even actually doing the show. It was the opportunity. In that moment, I felt like I won the lottery, like all these people supporting me, the venue, the place, the stories that I had. And before the lights came up on stage, I was just like, thank you for letting me be here. So it was just a really special moment.
I love it. And then, okay, the ninth question, this is the final one I'll ask you of the 12. I want to carry this or these unfinished pending goals into the new year because
I want to get my office organized. That is my number one goal that I've been working on in 2018, like clearing out this space in our house. My office is the left-hand corner of our kitchen table. And many entrepreneurs have a similar thing and I have space downstairs, but it was a storage room. And so I hired somebody to help me. I put some money down and I put some thought into it, and it's almost complete. And I hired an electrician. I hired people to help me with carpet. I mean, I really committed to I want a space. And the reason I want to carry it forward is because I think if I make some space for myself, my 2019 will flourish because I made a commitment to create an office space that I love. And I'm taking time to make sure I love the carpet. I love my new desk. The light looks good for me. I have all my pictures that I want to put up. We're getting the wall repainted, like little things that I feel. That's my biggest goal, to make a space where I can truly feel like, oh, I'm not at the corner of the kitchen table every night cleaning up before we have dinner, putting stuff back on at the end. So that's and it's a storage room, honestly, but it's gonna be my storage room office of my dreams.
I can't wait for you to take us, like, behind the scenes, like HGTV
on a tour.
So excited.
Yes. So let me ask you now, Missy.
Okay.
So I want to ask you, what was your mantra for 2019 or 2018?
Oh, so here it is, my vision board, and calm was my huge theme for this calendar year. I had like a little stone that said calm on it. I should have brought that for the video, but it's on my nightstand. I told my family that was calm. 2017 was a successful business year, but it was a very stressful year personally, and so many shifts in, where I lived and society and things like that, and I kind of internalized all that. So when I entered 2018, I knew I wanted to have a very calm year, very focused on the right things that would fill me up. And it's been really good. And it's nice when I was getting a little jammed up and crazy, my family just look at me and they put their hand on my arm and they go, calm. Sometimes I did get a little annoyed with it, but I'm like, they're right.
They're right. We're like, I don't want to be calm right now.
Exactly. Don't tell me to calm down. They're like, you asked for it. This is true. Okay.
I like that. A simple word, but I like that your word calm. Just try to get back to that. That's great.
It's been really, really good. I'm already thinking about my 2019 word, which is not going to be calm. It's something completely different. But
ooh, we can't wait for the big reveal. We'll have that will be another show. The big reveal. Okay. All right. The next question I want to ask you is the one about when I follow my intuition, I was rewarded by.
Oh, so, I'm a huge person, and I hope a lot of us are, especially as educators, are, doing a gut check and checking my intuition. And I've talked to Kari a lot about this, especially with our work and when proposals, pitches, opportunities come across our desk. It's great to make money. I like abundance. I like to be in service, but I like to get paid for service. And I had a couple opportunities that came through, and when I read them, I wasn't excited about them. They didn't make me feel elated or get my creativity spinning into a fun tizzy, none of that. And so I said, no. I just trusted this is not the right opportunity. And I just said either it's not the right time, because that might've been the case, or it just was a complete no. And I just felt good about it. And then it just opened up space for other things that came right after it. So I didn't feel like I had cut myself off at the knees and didn't optimize an opportunity. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel right. And I had to trust myself in that, because in the past, when I first started off, I used to say yes to almost every type of gig and opportunity. And then I would be in the middle of it or prepping for it or interacting and just feeling just really gross about it. So I don't like to do that.
No, I think that's the evolution of everyone who does work for themselves. You say, you know, what are you ready to say yes to? That means
Yeah.